Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Pisces December 2022 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant. And I've done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings over FaceTime and Skype for Pisceans from different parts of the world over the course of the last month. And if you choose to just have a look to see what might be involved, just have a look at the information that's in the description. But now we're going to take 5 cards for you from this deck called the Thoth deck. Now, Thoth is the ancient Egyptian god of wisdom. And the imagery is painted by a woman called Lady Freda Harris, who was a British woman, English woman. There's the 6 of Wands. And it contains... Look, it seems to me that a lot of readers are intimidated by the Thoth deck. It's because it contains a lot of occult imagery in it. Occult in the sense of hidden. It's hidden from most people. Well, this isn't going to be hidden from you now. And if you have a look at your moon and rising signs as well, you'll get to find out more of the imagery that might be in other cards as well. There's the Hanged Man. But she did a good job on it, Lady Freda Harris. There's the 6 of Swords, and we'll be able to get into things here. There is the 8 of Discs. Let's see what this might be. Oh, great. There's the 3 of Cups. Okay, why don't you come and sit down here next to me? We'll have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do the reading for you. Now, it looks your first card was Victory. Why has this come about? I think it's because you've set some things free here by using your mind, taking time, and you also have a great degree of love. What is it that's involved in this? That's what I'm curious about. The Hanged Man. Let's have a look at some of the imagery of it, shall we? And then we'll look at the divination behind it. First of all, you see this white light that's up there? That is the divine coming through. That is the light of the divine coming from outside of space and time into space and time. The green colors that are around here relate to Venus. Venus is to do with love, and all the green air is to do with love as well. These 3 discs are also colored to which he's nailed. They are about love. Now, what we also see here is if he's hanging by his left foot from an ankh. It's an ancient Egyptian symbol with a coiled snake, which is about regeneration and rejuvenation for you. And it appears as if there is a cross this way and that way, which is coming over a triangle, which is that way. So it is, if you like, the descent of spirit into matter. Another way of looking at it, on my playlist, you'll see a section here, Astrology for Beginners, and I talk about the spirituality of the cross symbol in astrology. But in a nutshell, it is spirit coming into matter. And here we see spirit coming down into matter in this triangle form. These green rays here, there's 18 of them. Now, what that means, that's because in Hebrew there is 18 letters is broken down into 2 syllables, which means life. This is water, the symbol for water. This is the Hebrew letter mem, which means water, or more particularly ocean, and we can see the ocean underneath here. This black is the womb, I think. In here is a circle of a circling serpent, and its colors are the most muted of anything that's on the card here, and they refer to, well, for me, mystically, a muted color, particularly black, refers to the space and time, not spiritual at all, but really into matter. And this black womb is what turns matter, is what turns the spirit, and it grows into life. Now these squares which are coming around here, 1, 2, 3, 4, look, they're not important. They deal with, look, there was a guy, in the 1500s, there was a guy called John Dee who figured out that he had a spiritual language called Enochian that was revealed to him by angels. And he developed a system of magic called Enochian magic. That's what they relate to. It's a waste of time. And so that's just my opinion on it. Anyway, what this means for you is that there is now a situation that is, or a relationship that's congealed, that's stuck, and it's finishing. You're letting go. Something is being given up. You're learning to see in a new way. There is the necessity of breaking through old behavior patterns. You are, in fact, achieving something of a metamorphosis. This hanged man, even though he is nailed to the cross in the way that throughout history different people have executed people by nailing them to trees or branches or pieces of wood, this is not about self-sacrifice at all. Rather, this is about using love and will as a way of moving things forward. Though sometimes there is restriction involved in that, it is not about sacrifice, it's about production through love. Yeah, I think that what this means for you also is that you are not, there's no punishment that you are receiving for things that you are doing in your life at the moment. The decisions that you make, although they could bring about loss, they don't represent defeat or failure, and there is no suffering attached to it. You may well have the chance to redeem yourself from a situation that's turned sour. You have the opportunity to put things right, or to bring light into darkness or spirit into matter. I think that this energy here also implies, because of the presence of water, that emotions are like water and should flow. You can have redemption or repair of a situation that is related to an emotional event or any transgressions that you might have made. I think you're also going to be losing emotional ties to guilt from past events, and maybe there's the necessity to give up something lesser in order to get something more. Just as I say, this isn't about self-sacrifice, it's about giving in order to make something better for the other person and also for yourself. You see, I think it's now possible for you to realize where, and I think you do because you've got this victory card here, to recognize where you are stuck and in which areas of your life are congealed rather than flowing. There's nothing more to do. The mere act of perceiving your reality clearly makes transformation possible. So, in what areas of your life are you stuck? Are you ready to recognize and let go of your sort of concrete thought and behavior patterns? Say this to yourself: I value breaking ineffective old patterns. I trust and have deep faith in the essence of who I am. I surrender to the higher path and God's will. I let go and realize, follow, and accept the will of the divine in my life, which reveals itself to me step by step. So we'll have a look at that card that I thought was going to be of interest, and it's this card here entitled Victory. It is the Six of Wands, and the astrology is of Jupiter in the second decan of Leo. Well, this sort of implies consolidation of the energy of Leo. Now, Leo likes to be the center of attention, the star of the show, and Leo is ruled by the sun. I also have a mystical association with the sun in number 6 here as well. I also have a mystical association, I have to say, with Christ consciousness, with Vishnu consciousness, with Krishna consciousness, when I see this number 6 in this position here, and with respect to this card. Now, the symbology, well, before I talk about that, again, it's Jupiter in Leo. Well, Jupiter is the planet of allowing you to expand into the world and grow in your personality and responsibility. And in the fire sign of Leo, Jupiter gives a certain spontaneity. And in the world of fire, it expresses this quality through creativity in your daily life. Now, as Leo is a fixed fire sign, it gives the Six of Wands endurance to fully develop the talents and creativity of somebody like you. Now, well, in fact, of you. Just looking at these things here, there's nothing terribly important about it. This is a deck which grew out of a society in the early 1900s in Great Britain known as the Golden Dawn Society. And these were the wands that were held by certain adepts. This is of the chief adept, the next adept down, and then the minor adept. So I can't recall which ones they were. But there's a vertical symmetry about these things. What's important here is that there's these snakes on the top. They are representing unification. These phoenix heads talk about rejuvenation. The colors blue and red together talk about the harmonization, bringing together water and fire, harmonizing. And what's good about it is that these lotus heads, they are open. Now there's 9 flames in here, all symmetrically arranged. This also speaks to me of power, and the 6 wands of power are harmoniously arranged and organized in their effect. Now the lotus blossoms, which can also speak to love, and the phoenix heads, as I say, of rebirth and renewal, and those winged globes with the snakes, which are creative power, new creation, with this eye of Horus, or perhaps the eye of Shiva. They're unified and strengthen one another. The flames are burning brightly and steadily. Now the violet in the background has become lighter through the secure feeling of victory. Do you know, in ancient Egypt, this was the color which represented the breakthrough to victory? Now Jupiter, the planet of luck and expansion, binds itself with the creativity of Leo. All your goals will be easily reached. But you would understand that your victories cannot be obtained at an unjust expense of others, or see them unjustly disadvantaged. The struggle must be won by fair means, and should be put to the service of some good cause which benefits all involved. So I think that there is here also victory over past troubles. Although you remember them, you'll have defeated them and you'll have become stronger. All is well. You've worked hard to get here, so enjoy yourself here. There's high self-confidence from Leo, so go forward and set new goals and improve your learning and understanding, which is the Jupiter aspect of it. What do you want to achieve? What does victory mean for you? Say it in a sentence. And say this to yourself: I am now ready to enjoy success in my life. Every event in my life brings me closer to my final goal, and my victory brings benefits to all involved. Now this card in the center here looks quite interesting. What does it have to say to us? And what is it? Let's have a look. Here we have the Six of Swords with Mercury finds itself in that fixed sign of air, which is Aquarius. And the thing is that Mercury is exalted in Aquarius, and that highlights the intellectual qualities of this energy. Aquarius is an air sign, which is detached and intellectual by nature, and Mercury's ability to analyze brings a clear perspective for you going forward. So the astrology of the card indicates a somewhat detached but balanced assessment of a situation is needed, but I think you're going through that process, aren't you? You need to analyze something without bias and too much emotion to get the best result. Now, Aquarius is also the sign of innovation and originality, and so this energy represents communicating ideas that are new or perhaps even unconventional in an orderly way. Now, looking at some of the imagery that's on here quickly, we see that in this there are swords all pointing into a rose cross. This is talking about integration. Now, the cross is the outfolded cube and represents humans in the world and all that they are. It represents the unification of the macrocosm with the microcosm. We are all unique expressions of the one source, God. Now, looking at the meaning of this card from the point of view of the rose cross, it implies evolving ourselves through solving life's problems and growing from the experiences, whether they be good or bad. Now, these circles here and black and square, I'm really not quite sure what they mean. I did read somewhere that the artist lady Frida Harris said one time that this is the best place for a fencer, someone who's involved in sword fighting, fencing, can stand with impunity without getting hit by something or other. But there's nothing that I can see in here which is esoteric. The hilts of the swords, though, if you look at them, they are all of different colours, representing the paths of the planets, I suppose. And the swords all come together on a rose cross. Now, the cross is the central point of focus of the card. The cross is the yellow of the sun, which, as you recall, with this has an association for me, and that's why it's also there, I guess, with Christ consciousness, Vishnu consciousness, Krishna consciousness. But that aside, I think that what this is saying is definitely that you will have the ability to analyze, to unify ideas. You'll have an all-encompassing vision, an all-embracing understanding of things. And isn't this about time? This is why you get out of this situation which you felt stuck or congealed. There's an objectivity here. Mercury in Aquarius. Mercury is one of the greatest gifts for Aquarius. Mercury's ability to analyze brings clarity to perspectives on the future. The perceptives are not only seen and recognized, but they can also be effectively communicated by you now. The most varied of ideas and visions meet at one central point, and this allows for a new, all-encompassing vision of things which brings the rose of realization into bloom. Now, this energy can mean that, although I think you've conquered it here, it can mean that there is a situation that you haven't been able to come to grips with, but it's getting better. You're now thinking through a better approach in dealing with the situation. But definitely there is intellectual clarity from learning through difficult experiences, and you've grown through tough times, and you've now had a handle on life and can make intelligent decisions which benefit your life, which bring about this victory. Now, with more to talk about than things, then letting them take their own course to heal and develop and to provide further growth for you. But you possess the ability to perceive on different levels and from different perspectives. Your understanding of things unites many different aspects. Where are and what are the ruts in your life? Trust your insight and communicate in a way others will understand, and allow the rose to unfold, and say this to yourself: the rose of recognition blossoms in my heart. We turn to the Eight of Discs, and this is the sun in Virgo. Now, what's the main thing to look at here is, first of all, it's an agricultural scene. It's about growth. And here is a flowering tree. Inside is fruit. It has, they all have 5 segments to them. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 petals. 5 and 5 is 10. I have a mystical association of the number 10 with space and time, with matter. So that's what's in your material world. And you are being protected by this outer leaf here. So what's going on in your material life is being protected. This yellow color in the background here It's also about the divine protection that you are receiving. You know, the tree unfolds its wealth and blooms, doesn't it? It's a time of flowering that relates to internal and external richness on all four levels of being, I think. Long hidden abilities and possibilities for you are really now becoming available. Now, the number 8, it stands for harmony, adjustment, balance. And as you unfold in equal measure on all levels of being, a deep sense of psychological equilibrium develops. This in turn affects your dealings on the material plane and also your dealings with other people, particularly at times of multifaceted flowering. Extremes and excesses should be avoided, I think, now. So this card, as I say, does talk of prudence, and so excesses should be avoided. Internal flowering, you see, is a delicate process which occurs in stillness. It's a gift to handle lovingly and with great care. And every bloom on the tree is shielded by that large leaf, a symbol for protection and prudence. Also remember that the tree is just beginning to bloom. It is not yet the time for harvesting or for giving out the newly developing wealth. You've got plenty of other enjoyment in emotional areas coming in just a second. But in order to maintain the internal balance, special attention must be paid on the external level to clarity, order, and beauty. That which is coming into flower in you is of exquisite beauty and delicacy. Provide for it the protection and nourishment it needs. You don't need to force anything. Everything is going to unfold at the proper time. Are you giving yourself the protection and nourishment you now need for your development? This card is encouraging you to keep doing what you're doing, as eventually it is going to lead for success. Now sure, it's going to require a lot of dedication, focus and patience, but as time passes, you're getting closer to your goal. Now it may not be apparent to you, but with this yellow in the background here of the divine, events are going to unfold that are going to lead you to your destination. You need time and patience to develop something. Don't rush it, as it's a long-term thing, and be prepared to bide your time and let it come to fruition. And just say this to yourself: look, whatever is going on in my life, I relax and trust life itself. Now finally, I think that, is it finally? Yeah, it takes us to this one, which is Three of Cups. Hello, Three of Cups. Let's have a look at you, shall we? Well, the first thing that we can do is we can see that it is Mercury in Cancer. Well, Cancer is the most maternal of the signs. And with this number 3 here, I have a very mystical association with the womb. You know how I was talking earlier about this black area here? That, for me, which is the womb, that's the 3 for me. It's the area which enables production, expansion, growth, multiplication. So the 3 is associated for me with the womb and development itself. So it's well placed here, this 3 of Cups in Cancer. Now, Cancer people communicate with feeling, haven't you found? Conveying a sensitive, withdrawn and thoughtful nature to the people they interact with. And Cancer is the most maternal of the signs. Now, the number of lotuses here, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, 8, I have a mystical association with Mercury in the number 8. 8 is also the number of months that, see the pomegranates here, there's a myth of Persephone and Demeter. Demeter was the mother, Persephone was the daughter. And Demeter was the goddess of agriculture and life on earth. Persephone was a daughter. The daughter was out picking flowers one afternoon. Hades came up from the underground, grabbed her and took her downstairs to the underworld and kept her free, kept her enslaved. While she was abducted, Demeter turned off everything in nature, and the gods sent Mercury down to negotiate with Hades to let the girl go. But he said, she hasn't eaten anything since she's been here. Let me just give her one seed of the pomegranate to eat. Now the trick was, though, if you ate anything when you were in Hades, you were said to have to stay there forever. And the pomegranate, she ate one seed. So a deal was struck whereby she would come up for 8 months of the year and then go back down, come up for 4 months of the year rather, which was the most productive period in the northern hemisphere, late spring, summer, early autumn, for crops and growth. And for the other 8 months of the year, she was down below. Now there are 7 streams which are coming here. These 7 streams are, well, they have an association with Venus for me, because I have a mystical association. So there's love and abundance there. And the pomegranates that are involved, they are the riches we have experienced emotionally through nurturing our friendships. And the 3 cups, one elevates above the other. An abundance of feeling for close friends, but for one in particular, I think. And this sea, again, like the womb, here it is, which is associated with the feminine. And the cups, the suit of cups, by their very nature, are receptive, and so both reinforce and support one another. So are there any people that you have not yet outwardly expressed your love for them? This is love pouring all over you now. Whatever you would like to now, in full awareness, just do it. Being aware of your boundless riches, and say to yourself, today, life gives me everything I need to be happy. Great love card, that, particularly for 3 people. Good job. Well, I'm sure you'll agree with me that this is a very, very interesting deck, isn't it? The Thoth deck, and it provides an unusual sort of a reading, different to the types that you might see before. Certainly the imagery is unlike anything that you see in other decks. But anyway, next time, of course, we will be using another deck, because I do change them each month, as you know. So until I see you again, remember one thing, and one thing is this, and it is that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.